The pre-dawn darkness over Naval Air Station Oceana felt heavier than usual. Captain Jennifer Phoenix Walsh stood on the tarmac at 0430 hours, her blonde hair pulled back in regulation style, watching maintenance crews perform final checks on her F-35C Lightning II. At 35, she was one of the most experienced fighter pilots in the United States Navy. With over 2,000 flight hours and a reputation for remaining calm under pressure that had earned her the call sign Phoenix. The aircraft before her gleamed under floodlights, a masterpiece of stealth technology worth over $100 million. Its angular surfaces and advanced composite materials made it nearly invisible to enemy radar, while its sensor fusion system provided unprecedented situational awareness. But technology alone wouldn't complete the mission she'd been assigned. That would require skill, courage, and the kind of judgment that came from years of pushing both aircraft and pilot to their limits. Behind her, the briefing room still hummed with activity. Operation Shadow Strike had been in planning for 3 months, ever since intelligence confirmed the location of a heavily fortified munitions depot deep in hostile territory. The facility supplied weapons to insurgent groups throughout the region, and eliminating it had become a top priority. Conventional strikes were deemed too risky. The depot was surrounded by advanced air defense systems that had already claimed 2 Allied reconnaissance drones. That's where Jennifer came in. Her record spoke for itself, decorated for valor during combat operations, instructor pilot credentials, and a master's degree in aeronautical engineering that helped her understand her aircraft's capabilities better than most. But this mission would test everything she'd learned. "Captain Walsh," came a voice behind her. Admiral Richard Morrison approached, his weathered face serious in the artificial light. Final weather briefing shows conditions deteriorating over the target area. Storm front moving in earlier than predicted. Jennifer turned to face him, her expression composed. "Sir, the weather might actually work in our favor. Cloud cover will mask my approach, and their radar operators won't expect anyone to attempt penetration in those conditions." Morrison studied her carefully. "You understand the stakes here. We're sending you alone, deep into denied airspace, with limited support options if things go wrong." The president himself approved this mission. "Failure isn't an option, but neither is losing one of our best pilots." "Understood, sir. I've studied every satellite image, every intelligence report. I know this mission profile better than my own apartment layout." A slight smile crossed her face. "And I definitely know my aircraft better than anything else." The admiral nodded slowly. "Your target window opens at 0630 hours local time. You'll have exactly 40 minutes to strike before enemy reinforcements can respond. After that, the airspace becomes too contested for extraction." He paused, then extended his hand. "Godspeed, Phoenix. Bring yourself and that expensive aircraft home safely." Jennifer shook his hand firmly. "That's the plan, sir." As Morrison departed, her weapons systems officer, Lieutenant Marcus Chen, approached with final mission data loaded onto a secure tablet. "Captain, your ordnance is configured. 2 GBU-53 Stormbreaker munitions for primary target, AIM-120 missiles for air defense, and full countermeasures suite. Fuel calculated for mission profile with 15% reserve. Chen, I need you monitoring every communication channel. If intelligence picks up any change in enemy disposition, I need to know immediately." "Understood, ma'am. We'll have your back from here." Jennifer climbed the ladder to her cockpit, each step deliberate and practiced. The crew chief, Master Sergeant Rodriguez, met her at the top. "She's ready, Captain. Every system checked and double-checked. Bring her home safe." "Always do, Rodriguez." Jennifer settled into the ejection seat, the familiar embrace of her cockpit surrounding her. Her hands moved through pre-flight checks with the fluid efficiency of thousands of hours of practice. Flight controls check. Avionics online. Weapons systems armed and ready. Each confirmation brought her closer to commitment, to the moment when she'd transition from planning to execution. The canopy lowered with a hydraulic hiss, sealing her inside the cockpit's technological cocoon. Her heads-up display flickered to life, painting information across her field of view. She activated the aircraft's communication systems. "Tower, Phoenix 1 requesting taxi clearance for Operation Shadow Strike." "Phoenix 1, Tower, you are cleared to taxi runway 228. Winds 270 at 12 knots. Altimeter 2, Niner 2. Jennifer advanced the throttle slightly, feeling the F-35 single Pratt & Whitney engine respond with 43,000 pounds of thrust. The aircraft rolled forward smoothly, its advanced fly-by-wire system translating her inputs into precise movements. As she taxied toward the runway, other aircraft stood silent in their revetments, their pilots probably sleeping or preparing for routine training missions. They had no idea one of their own was about to penetrate some of the most dangerous airspace in the world. At the runway threshold, Jennifer performed her final checks. Everything showed green. Her heart rate remained steady, elevated but controlled. Fear was natural. Panic was unacceptable. She'd learned that distinction during her first combat deployment, when a surface-to-air missile had passed within 100 feet of her previous aircraft. The memory still felt vivid. The threat warning, screaming, her hands executing defensive maneuvers, while her mind processed options with crystalline clarity. She'd survived that day by trusting her training and staying focused on solutions rather than fear. Tower Phoenix 1, ready for departure. Phoenix 1, cleared for takeoff. Fair winds, Captain. Jennifer advanced the throttle to military power, then engaged afterburner. The F-35 accelerated down the runway, pressing her back into the seat. At 150 knots, she eased the stick back, and the aircraft rotated smoothly into the pre-dawn sky. Landing gear retracted with solid thunks as she climbed through 1,000 feet, banking eastward toward the rising sun, still hidden below the horizon. Phoenix 1 airborne, commencing mission profile. The next 90 minutes passed in focused concentration as Jennifer guided her aircraft toward hostile territory. She maintained radio silence, flying precisely calculated waypoints that avoided known radar sites. The F-35's stealth characteristics made her nearly invisible. But nearly wasn't completely. Skilled radar operators could still detect faint returns if she made mistakes with altitude or aspect angle. As she approached the initial point, the sun finally broke over the horizon behind her, painting the cloud deck below in shades of orange and gold. In different circumstances, she might have appreciated the beauty. Today, those clouds represented both opportunity and danger. They would conceal her approach, but also limit visibility at critical moments. Phoenix 1, entering hostile airspace. She transmitted on the encrypted channel. Copy, Phoenix 1. Satellite imagery shows no change in target defenses. You're clear to proceed. Chen's voice carried professional calm despite the tension everyone back at base must be feeling. Jennifer descended through the cloud layer, her instruments guiding her through the gray void. The F-35's advanced sensor fusion combined data from multiple sources into a comprehensive tactical picture displayed on her screens. Threat circles appeared where enemy air defense systems operated, pulsing red warnings that demanded respect but not fear. She threaded between those circles like a needle through cloth, adjusting her flight path with minor stick movements. Every mile deeper into enemy territory increased the risk, but also brought her closer to mission completion. The munitions depot appeared on her display still 20 miles ahead, nestled in a valley between two ridgelines. Intelligence indicated the facility was hardened against air attack, with ammunition stored in reinforced bunkers and protected by multiple layers of defenses. Then her threat warning system chirped a search radar had swept across her position. Jennifer's eyes flickered to the display, analyzing the signal characteristics. SA-15 system, medium range, searching pattern. The radar hadn't locked onto her, just detected something anomalous. She adjusted her altitude by 500 feet and changed heading by 5 degrees, presenting a different radar cross-section. The chirp faded. Close one, she murmured to herself, adrenaline sharpening her focus even further. At 15 miles from target, Jennifer began her attack run setup. She reduced airspeed to 400 knots, optimizing for weapons employment while maintaining maneuverability. Her GBU-53 munitions required specific release parameters, altitude, airspeed, and aspect angle all needed to align within narrow tolerances. Miss those parameters, and the precision weapons might not reach their targets. 10 miles out, her sensors provided visual confirmation of the munitions depot through breaks in the clouds. The facility was larger than satellite images had suggested, sprawling across a quarter-mile of valley floor. Multiple buildings surrounded the primary bunker, with vehicles and personnel visible even at this distance. She identified air defense positions, tracked vehicles with radar dishes rotating steadily, searching for threats like her. Phoenix 1, target visual. Commencing attack run. Copy, Phoenix. All channels clear. No enemy air activity detected. You're alone up there. Jennifer armed her weapons systems, feeling the familiar weight of responsibility that came with this moment. 2 munitions, 2 targets. The primary bunker required both weapons to ensure destruction through its reinforced roof. Miss with either one, and the mission failed. Fire too early, and defenses might intercept. Fire too late, and she'd overfly the target without time for a second attempt. 7 miles. She began a gentle climb to optimize her release altitude, watching her displays calculate weapons employment zones in real time. The F-35's computer processed hundreds of variables: wind speed, air density, target coordinates, ballistic coefficients, presenting her with a solution that appeared as a constantly updating basket on her heads-up display. Get the aircraft inside that basket, press the button, and physics would handle the rest. 5 miles. Enemy radar activity increased as she approached, multiple systems now painting her aircraft. Threat warnings multiplied across her displays, prioritized by danger level. Still no lock-ons, but detection probability was rising with each passing second. The weather that had concealed her approach was breaking apart, clouds thinning as she neared the target area. 3 miles. Time seemed to slow, as Jennifer's training took over completely. Her breathing steadied to a controlled rhythm. Her scan pattern moved efficiently across instruments, gathering information, updating her mental picture, projecting forward to anticipate what came next. This was the moment everything came together. Years of training, hundreds of hours in simulators, countless practice runs, all converging on the next 30 seconds. 2 miles. The weapons employment zone appeared on her heads-up display, a green box floating in space above the target. She made micro-adjustments to her flight path, aligning the aircraft's velocity vector with optimal release parameters. Too high, bring the nose down slightly. Too fast, reduce throttle. The movements were instinctive now, her hands and feet working in harmony with the machine. 1 mile. The box turned solid green, all parameters satisfied. Jennifer's thumb hovered over the release button on her stick. Below, she could see tiny figures near the bunker, personnel going about their routines, unaware that precision-guided death approached from above at supersonic speeds. She felt no hatred for those people, no personal animosity. They had made choices that led them to this moment, just as she had made hers. This was war reduced to its essential mathematics. Rifle 1, she called, pressing the release button. The first GBU-53 separated from the aircraft with a slight jolt, its rocket motor igniting milliseconds later to drive it toward the target. Rifle 2, she continued, releasing the second weapon. Both munitions tracked away, their onboard guidance systems taking over navigation. Jennifer immediately broke hard right, rolling the aircraft inverted and pulling toward the horizon. Maximum G-forces pushed her down into the seat as she executed defensive maneuvers, clearing the target area before enemy defenses could react. Her threat warning system exploded, with alerts multiple missile launches detected, surface-to-air systems finally responding to her presence. Red triangles appeared on her display, tracking solutions attempting to predict her flight path. Jennifer's hands flew across controls, deploying chaff and flares, while maneuvering violently to break those tracking solutions. A missile streaked past her canopy, close enough to see its exhaust plume. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but her mind remained focused on survival. She pulled the F-35 through a series of high G turns that would have torn older aircraft apart, each maneuver calculated to defeat the missiles hunting her. Behind her, 2 massive explosions announced the arrival of her weapons on target. The GBU-53 seconds penetrated deep into the bunker before detonating, their combined explosive force triggering sympathetic detonations in the stored munitions. Secondary explosions rippled outward, the facility's own ammunition becoming additional weapons that tore through structures and defensive positions. But Jennifer had no time to assess damage. 3 more missiles were in flight, tracking algorithms updating with each passing second. She dove toward the deck, using terrain masking to break radar lock. The valley walls that had protected the munitions depot now became her allies, blocking line of sight to the air defense systems chasing her. She screamed through a narrow canyon at 500 feet altitude, the F-35's fly-by-wire system preventing her from making the fatal mistake of flying into terrain despite her aggressive maneuvering. Rock walls blurred past her canopy, so close she could see individual boulders. Her threat warnings continued screaming, but the number of active tracks decreased. She was getting outside the engagement envelope of some system. Then a new threat appeared: aircraft. Her radar warning receiver detected airborne search radars, enemy fighters scrambling to intercept. Jennifer checked her tactical display: 2 contacts, 50 miles away and closing fast. She was still too deep in hostile territory for friendly support, and her fuel state was becoming a factor. Phoenix 1 engaging defensive, she transmitted. 2 enemy fighters inbound, bearing 090, 50 miles. Copy Phoenix. Recommend evasion and egress. Your mission is complete. Jennifer's jaw set with determination. The fighters were between her and friendly airspace. She couldn't outrun them. They were likely older but faster aircraft. She couldn't hide. They knew approximately where she was. That left one option: engage. She activated her AIM-120 missiles and turned toward the threat, presenting her nose rather than her vulnerable tail. The F-35's advanced sensors painted a detailed picture of the enemy aircraft. They were flying in formation, searching aggressively, but not yet aware of her exact position. Stealth provided one more advantage. At 30 miles, her weapons system indicated firing solution achieved. At this range, she could shoot before they even knew she existed. Jennifer designated the lead aircraft and pressed the missile release. Fox 3, she called, launching her AIM-120. The missile dropped from internal weapons bay, motor igniting as it accelerated toward Mach 4. She immediately designated the second aircraft, Fox 3, another missile away. Both enemy fighters continued their search pattern for precious seconds before their threat warnings activated. By then, the missiles were inside the no-escape zone. Jennifer watched her tactical display with professional detachment as both targets disappeared from her Scope 2 aircraft and their pilots erased in seconds by weapons fired from an enemy they never saw. She felt no triumph, just acknowledgement. They had been doing their job. She had been doing hers. The difference was technology, training, and perhaps luck. On another day, in different circumstances, the outcome might have reversed. With the immediate threat eliminated, Jennifer turned toward friendly airspace and increased throttle. Her fuel state was now critical. The defensive maneuvering and weapons employment had burned through reserves faster than planned. She calculated ranges and consumption rates, arriving at an uncomfortable conclusion. She'd reach friendly territory, but with minimal margin for error. Phoenix, 1 feet wet. She transmitted as she crossed the coastline, leaving hostile territory behind. Mission successful. All targets destroyed. Requesting straight-in approach. Fuel state critical. Copy Phoenix 1. You're cleared direct approach. Priority handling. Emergency equipment standing by as precaution. The next 40 minutes tested Jennifer's discipline as thoroughly as the combat had tested her skills. Every mile consumed fuel she couldn't spare. She climbed to optimal altitude for range, reduced throttle to minimum sustainable settings, and flew the most efficient flight path her navigation computer could calculate. Naval Air Station Oceana appeared on her horizon, with fuel gauges showing reserves measured in minutes rather than percentages. The tower cleared all other traffic, giving her priority approach. Jennifer configured the aircraft for landing gear down, flaps set, hook extended for arrested landing on the shore-based arresting gear system. The runway threshold passed beneath her, and she brought the throttle back to idle. The F-35 settled onto concrete with a chirp of tires, the arresting cable catching her tailhook and bringing the aircraft to a rapid but controlled stop. Engine shut down, canopy open, fresh air flooding in. Jennifer remained in her seat for a moment, hands still gripping the stick and throttle, her body remembering the intensity of the past 3 hours, even as her mind began processing everything that had happened. She'd penetrated denied airspace, destroyed a strategic target, defeated multiple air defense systems, and engaged enemy fighters, all without taking a single hit. Ground crew swarmed the aircraft as she climbed down, their faces showing a mixture of relief and excitement. Admiral Morrison was waiting, and his expression told her everything before he spoke. Captain Walsh, preliminary battle damage assessment, confirms complete destruction of the primary target and significant damage to supporting facilities. Intelligence estimates we've eliminated approximately 60% of the insurgent weapons supply for the entire region. He paused, then smiled. Outstanding work, Phoenix. Truly outstanding. Jennifer removed her helmet, blonde hair falling around her shoulders. Thank you, sir. The aircraft performed flawlessly, and the intelligence preparation was accurate. It was a team effort. Don't be modest, Captain. 99% of pilots couldn't have executed that mission profile. Morrison's voice carried weight beyond simple praise. I'm recommending you for the Distinguished Flying Cross, and I'm fairly certain the Secretary of the Navy will approve. The words took a moment to register. The Distinguished Flying Cross, one of America's highest awards for aerial achievement. Jennifer had known pilots who'd received it, warriors she'd considered heroes. To be counted among them felt surreal. Sir, I thank you. I'm honored. You earned it, Phoenix. Every bit of it. Morrison gestured toward the operations building. Now get debriefed and get some rest. Something tells me you're going to be busy with award ceremonies in the near future. 3 months later, Jennifer stood in the Pentagon's Hall of Heroes, surrounded by military leadership and fellow aviators. Her dress uniform felt somehow more confining than her flight suit, the weight of ceremonial formality different from the weight of combat equipment. Her parents sat in the front row, their faces showing pride that made her throat tighten with emotion. The Secretary of the Navy stepped forward to present the medal, his voice carrying through the assembled crowd. Captain Jennifer Walsh demonstrated extraordinary heroism and skill during Operation Shadow Strike. Flying alone into heavily defended airspace, she successfully destroyed a critical enemy facility while defeating multiple surface-to-air and airborne threats. Her actions directly contributed to regional stability and saved countless lives by eliminating weapons that would have been used against coalition forces and innocent civilians. The medal was pinned to her uniform, its weight somehow both substantial and insignificant compared to the responsibility it represented. Jennifer met the Secretary's eyes as they shook hands, seeing in his expression the understanding that came from those who'd served in similar circumstances. Afterward, at the reception, she found herself surrounded by admirers and fellow pilots. A young ensign approached nervously, her flight wings still bright and new. "Captain Walsh, I just wanted to say, you're an inspiration. I'm starting F-35 training next month, and knowing that someone like you is out there, showing what's possible." Jennifer smiled warmly. "The aircraft is incredible, but remember, it's just a tool. The real weapon is your mind, your training, and your refusal to quit when things get difficult. Master those, and the aircraft will take you anywhere you need to go." The ensign nodded earnestly, committing the words to memory. Admiral Morrison appeared at Jennifer's elbow. "Captain, moment of your time?" He guided her toward a quieter corner. "I wanted to give you advance notice. You're being considered for the Navy's first female squadron commander position for F-35 operations. The Admiral Board meets in 6 months." Jennifer's eyes widened. "Squadron commander, the pinnacle of tactical aviation leadership. Sir, I don't know what to say." "Say you'll consider it. We need leaders who can inspire the next generation while maintaining the highest operational standards. You've proven you possess both qualities." Morrison's expression turned serious. "The Navy is changing, Phoenix. We need people like you showing what's possible, not just in combat, but in leadership." "I'll consider it, sir. Seriously consider it." That evening, back in her quarters, Jennifer sat at her desk and opened her flight logbook. She added the date and details of the award ceremony, then paged back through years of entries. Each one represented hours in the air, lessons learned, challenges overcome. Some entries marked routine training flights, others documented combat missions that had tested every skill she possessed. She thought about the young ensign she'd spoken with, and about the generations of aviators who would follow. The medal on her desk reflected lamplight, but it wasn't the award itself that mattered. It was what it represented: excellence achieved through dedication, courage demonstrated through action, and standards maintained when no one was watching. Jennifer picked up a pen and added a final note to today's entry: "Received DFC for Operation Shadow Strike. More important than the medal, the mission succeeded, the aircraft performed, and I came home. That's what we trained for. That's what matters." She closed the logbook and looked at the photograph on her desk, her F-35 parked on the ramp, its sleek profile outlined against a sunset sky. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new missions, new opportunities to serve. But tonight, she allowed herself a moment of satisfaction for a job well done. The adventure was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. Thanks for watching this incredible story of courage, skill, and dedication to excellence. Hit that subscribe button for more epic military aviation adventures. And let us know in the comments, what inspires you to pursue excellence in your own life? Remember, true heroes aren't defined by medals alone. They're defined by the standards they maintain every single day. Asterisk. Asterisk. Next time, on Epic Chronicles, Guardian Angel. A rescue helicopter pilot must navigate through a massive storm to save wounded soldiers trapped behind enemy lines.